Now, this story isn't in particular a crazy or insane or super duper exciting one, but I feel it's an interesting one nonetheless. Now, for those of you that weren't aware, Bree and I moved down to California about a month, maybe a month and a half ago. And before we made the decision to do that, I actually ended up flying out to Los Angeles for the day to look at some apartments and or houses that we had been interested in. It was more of a last-minute decision based on one place we found that looked like it would be pretty promising. Basically, as we were looking around on Zillow and other rental websites, we found a place that was in a little privately made complex. And what I mean by that, I guess the correct way to say that is, he made a giant addition to his already existing house in a neighborhood, and then basically turned it into like a 3 or 4 bedroom, like miniature apartment complex that he could then rent out to multiple people. And we thought, hey, this actually looks really nice, and it's not too stupidly overpriced for how nice the area is. So we corresponded back and forth with him a little bit. He was very aware of the jobs that we do and the type of work that we do. As a matter of fact, he was a very sneaky fella. He ended up searching us up after we sort of gave a vague description of what we do, because we don't like to tell people straight up like, yo, yeah, man, we make the YouTube. You like memes? Yeah, we love memes. That's how we do our work, man. So after he looked us up and found out what we do, you know, we corresponded for a little bit longer, addressed concerns, yada, 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 and he strongly urged that we come out and see the place. Now, at the time, of course, we were living in Colorado, so that's a little bit more difficult. But I decided I wanted to do it anyway. So I booked myself a last-minute flight, or not really last minute, more like a couple days in advance. Got a pretty good deal, and decided I was going to go out there and check it out. Now, up until this point, the guy over the phone had kind of made me a little bit leery of doing it, but I decided it would be a good idea anyway, since we were pretty dead set on Los Angeles or the Southern California area. In reality, we actually changed our minds about 46 times before finally deciding, you know what, no, Southern California. Anywho, despite how I was kind of feeling about this landlord, I decided to fly on out. Now keep in mind, I was going to fly out early morning, take a quick look around the town, and then fly out in the evening, which I did. By the way, never do that. It is the most tiring thing you can do. Okay, it's not really. There are plenty of more tiring things. I'm just a big baby. And I eventually made my way over to the place to check it out. Met with him in person. He seemed nice, yet incredibly pushy. And I checked the place out. It was a really small 1-bedroom spot. Looked really nice. It was very clean. Our only concern was, you know, we're loud. We yell a lot for doing our videos, and we didn't want to disturb any neighbors. And that was one of his concerns too, which I reassured him about 1,700 times that we will keep it quiet. But the dude just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. He was being incredibly rude. So I told him, you know what, here, we don't have a complete answer right now, but if you give me about 30 minutes, I'll take a walk, I'll call Bree, and I'll give you an answer then. And as I was walking around the neighborhood, sort of conversing with Bree about, you know, what should we do? Do you think we should do it? I noticed that some other dude was waltzing around the apartment checking it out. Eventually, I figured out that what this jackass had done was he had called another person that was interested in the apartment and just let the dude fucking sign for it right out from under me when I said, here, I'll give you an answer in 30 minutes. I understand it's a dog-eat-dog world, especially out here in the Hollywood area, but it still pissed me off that the dude told me it would be a much better idea if you check the place out for yourself. I would strongly urge you to come down here and look at it. It really grindled my frindle, if you know what I mean, that the guy would tell me to go all the way out there, waste an entire day and a lot of money to do this, only to basically fuck me over in the end. The only things that actually kind of redeemed the trip for me were, first of all, we ended up deciding that it wouldn't have been a good idea, you know, no big deal at that point. And then, whilst waltzing around the neighborhood, I ran into Jack's Films at a coffee shop and probably annoyed the living shit out of him. Believe me, if those two things had not happened, I would have gone home incredibly pissed and depressed. I felt like I'd been taken advantage of. I mean, obviously he didn't, like, steal anything from me or anything like that, but, you know, being the whiny little bitch that I am, I was like, hey, fuck you. Anyways, I don't know. That's not something I'm ever gonna do again, at least not by myself.
Remember, children, if you're gonna go to a different state and or city to live, don't feel pressured into doing anything you're not ready to do.
I mean, after all, you're putting your signature down on a piece of paper that essentially says, you will be paying me this amount of money per month until this contract says you don't have to anymore. And believe you me, that would have sucked. We ended up in a much, much better place. I tell you what, 12 months at that goddamn apartment we would have been very, very dissatisfied and sad. And on that note, it looks like we have ran out of time for today's video. Always remember, if you even somewhat enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like, and if you really liked the video, then consider subscribing. And the next time I feel the need to whine, as I love doing so much, I'll be seeing ya.